Okay, so I got somebody asking the question about the trade I took TH on Friday, which I don't think was a good trade at all, and I'll tell you exactly why. So here's the setup. SPY has just started to bounce back up after that pullback at the end of the morning, right through there. So we've got this big triangle pattern forming. We had this big bounce and then this pullback, and now we're kind of chopping back up. And the reason why we're kind of chopping back up is because if you look over at the 10p, it's still just barely into a bull cross. Really nice 10p action here. Bear cross at the top, we get that big full pullback, but now we have the bull cross coming back up. And so this thing looks like it's starting to bounce. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for really good longs. And one of my favorite patterns is that HA reversal breakout. So if you look over here, this price action right through here is kind of like a compression. So if I take my indicator, or not my indicator, my arrow right here, and I trace across here, you can see that it had been compressing while SPY was just dropping like a rock. So my thesis here is that this thing is going to pop back up. So as soon as this comes back, I'm going to get a nice little HA reversal candle, which I did right through there. And then I'm going to get continuation. It's going to pop all the way back up, right? So that's why I entered it, was because I just love this pattern that Dave showed us. Here's why I was wrong. Take a look at this D1. TH just recently had a history of just a crazy upward motion. So I've had history with just watching this thing rip and rip and rip. And it had kind of petered off for a little bit, but remember, when I'm looking at this thing, this D1 candle right here is like this big. It's chunked all the way up to there. So what I'm thinking is this is going to be a compression break on the D1, and I'm going to get in early. I'm going to be smarter than everybody else. I'm going to be in before the train actually even just takes off from the station. I also have this slightly high volume candle right through here. Boop, like that. And you can see it's above average volume. And there's a nice little trend line down, and it's over that trend line. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of like an algo break too, right? But here's why this doesn't work. So first, the whole thing is still in compression. If you take a look at like the size of the compression, this candle here, even when it's full bodied, isn't any bigger than any of these candles here. And the 5-day relative strength isn't good either. So it's not really telling me anything. Now there's a little bit of R-vol on this thing, but like you got to really zoom in to see it. So it doesn't really have good relative volume either. So basically I jumped the gun on this thing. So I'm watching this thing come up, and if this first initial candle, this one right here, if this candle isn't like a big chunky one, I'll wait for a second flat bottom HA candle to go in. And I've heard Dave talk about that too. So I waited for the second one, and I entered at 1462. But then I started looking at the D1, and I started looking at my trade conditions and the situation of the market and this crazy volatile chart through here. And I started thinking, I got way too much risk on this thing. So I was actually able to scratch half of my shares at break even before this thing even started dropping. And I'm very thankful for that. Like, hopefully I'll be able to get my trade skills to a point where I don't even enter trade like this, but that's pretty good. And then all of a sudden we get this just disgusting drop and then a total rip back up. So I'm like, what do I make of this thing? I don't really know what to make of this candle. It's super high volume. It's also super bullish. So what do? I'm going to stay in this thing. So it's not a good D1, but the 5-minute chart is showing me some crazy price action. I'm going to wait and see what happens. So that's this candle right through there. That's what you see, the green candle as well. But then we take a look at the next candle. This candle here. It's a red candle. These are both, or all this area right here is just very, very minimal movement going on. And if I look over here, SPY kind of looks like it's going to drop back down. But now I'm using this candle as the stop to get out. I know I'm going to be taking a loss on this thing. I just don't know when and how. So what I waited for was for some relative weakness to actually show in the price action of TH. And that was about here, somewhere around there. And you can see the actual indicator completely reverses. Its relative strength, really nice all the way, and then total reversal. So if I look at this thing and I'm looking at the D1, oh no, this thing is still in compression. It's just going to come back to the bottom of the wave of compression, and I can hang around in it, or I can just take the L, get out, start trading better because I shouldn't have entered this thing in the first place. So that's where I take the loss right there. And lo and behold, as you watch SPY going up and up and up and up and up, TH is staying flat. So this thing all of a sudden just reversed on me. And the reason why it reversed was this was not a compression break. There was not enough R-vol or relative strength. This was just more compression. That's why I took the loss. But take a look at the rest of the day. This thing could have been way, way worse. So I'm actually pretty happy that I took the loss right there. And I'm actually happy overall that I'm saving these trades and I'm not taking these massive losses anymore. This chalks up to basically not enough criteria. The criteria for this D1 was inadequate. So my mistakes tag here would say inadequate criteria. But my loss, the time when I took to exit, was correct. So that's TH for you.